apnea again. So this is now week 2 of the kind of exploration thing. Still a lot of learning. I have my notes in front of me. We mentioned, so we've been going through this Drawing Down the Moon book as a good just, let's get some history. I have a link, an affiliate link down in the chat. We were also sort of told to pick up this to write a silver broomstick for different reasons. That this is from more of a perspective from Silver Ravenwolf, so it's also a good intro book to get perspective. So the mentor that I have he goes by Plain Toast No Jam on Twitch, and he started off by sort of talking about witchcraft in general, because last time he was talking about what it will be and what it won't be, right? So he calls it the craft, not witchcraft, since not everyone identifies as a witch. He emphasized that journaling is really important. One of the things that we are working on is meditating and moving from, meditating for 1 minute up to the goal of, 5 minutes and longer kind of thing. But it was a lot of information, and part of a lot of the information, like normally I have like a page of notes, and this one I have front and back, but a lot of it was we need to figure out what we believe, because a lot of witchcraft sort of comes from, and I say witchcraft, a lot of the craft, right? Any kind of paganism, things like that, it comes from what your beliefs are, and not necessarily somebody else saying this is what you should do, this is what you should believe. It's what feels good for you, what feels right for you, and you sort of create your own path, which again, I really love that. So in the version of the book I have, there's a preface to the new edition. It's on page 10, right? And down here, there is a bunch of information. There's a part where it says, since pagans are a very diverse group, it is wrong to say all pagans believe this or that, but here are some beliefs that many people in this book share. And then it goes through and it lists a bunch of things. It starts on the bottom of the page, goes to the top of the next page. And one of the things that Plain Toast has said that he would like us to do is to go through and actually, figure out if that's something that we believe in or not. And when we actually had class, I remember writing stuff down, and I had an initial thought, but I haven't really sat down and thought about it or journaled about it. So this is sort of my, journaling experience in that regard. The first sentence says, the world is holy. It's an interesting statement because that also makes you, think, what does the word holy mean and represent? Holy to me is something that is very akin to the word sacred, which means that it's something that we should be cherishing and looking out for, taking care of, respectful of, right? Like that's what holy sort of means to me. And I know everybody has different meanings, different, connotations of what that word is. So sort of that's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of holy is that respect that I would have, that there's some energy around it, some potential spiritual nature about it. So I think that I would definitely agree with the statement, the world is holy. Nature is holy. It's a very similar answer for me as well. The body is holy. The body can do such amazing things. There's been research studies about such a wide variety of the things the body is actually capable of doing. And I'm excited to learn more and more about it because I've done some research, but I know that I haven't, it's like the tip of the iceberg. So if you haven't looked into some of the really amazing things that the body can do, I would say look into it. So I think I definitely agree with that. I think the body, nature in general is holy, but I think the human body also is very amazing. Sexuality is holy. Now, this is one thing that in class we sort of have mentioned where sexuality is big among pagans in that there's a lot of energy that comes from it. There's also some feelings where people are uncomfortable with it because of one thing or another. Sometimes it's just the community they're raised in, if it's taboo or not. So this feeling of sexuality is holy. I'm a big, I mean, I love my husband. I'm a big fan of our relationship, and I think that that relationship is holy. So in that regard, I think that sexuality, in terms of like how you are utilizing it, right? Like if you're going around and you're flaunting sexuality for the purpose of trying to tease somebody else when you have no intentions of doing anything like that, like now I'm huge on intentions. If you know me, that's one of the biggest things about me. I'm really, really big on what somebody's intentions are. So if you're using your sexuality and the intentions behind it are not as great, I'm probably not as big of a fan of it. Versus if you are using your sexuality for um, something that is more sacred and holy. I have a Sora that has come to say hi during my video. So yes, I have a little black cat. She's one of the two cats I have. You're gonna sit on my notes. Beautiful. I love that you're sitting on my notes. So good. Okay. So I think sexuality is holy, especially when it is honed and used in the right way. I think I'll say that. I think that anything can be abused, right? I'm gonna sit in front of my book too. The imagination is holy. Now this one is super cool. So the imagination is one of those things where it is literally an open world. It's an open landscape where you can create anything you want. You can sort of be anything you want. And the potential that it has for because I've had a lot of meditations. I've done some great visual meditations, and I have one written that I don't think I've recorded yet. So hopefully look out for that. It'll be a really long cave meditation. I have a shorter one up, but I have a longer version of it that I have I'm working on. But the imagination is holy. I love that idea. I love that. I think I feel energized with the idea even of just the imagination. It's just this boundless landscape. Divinity is immanent in nature. So the other half of that sentence is, it is within you as well as without. So like this fact that the divinity is around you and within you, right? Like it's not something that's just this separate thing, but there's something inside of you that is also kind of sacred and holy. I know the body is holy, but divinity itself, like the idea of God and goddesses and things like that, right? I know in some other cultures, maybe Christianity, they would say like the Holy Spirit can be within you, and you know, you can feel it and things like that. It's very similar. And when I've researched a lot of other cultures, I like to think about it as energy, which is why I'm a big, strong believer in just energy work in general, because that's a universal sort of word for a lot of what people can feel. So the fact that it says divinity is immanent in nature, like it's there, right? It's on the surface, you can kind of feel it. It is within you as well as without. So it's kind of like all around you, like you're surrounded by this. And again, for me, I think that I would agree with that because I think that it all links to energy. And I think that that's a big key for me. So I agree with that statement for sure. Most spiritual paths ultimately lead people to the understanding of their own connection to the divine. I think this is true. And I think this is one of the reasons why religion in general is as strong as it is because most people will get into religion, they'll get into the community, they'll get into what they believe, and they'll feel some of that latent energy that's just pooling all around. And when they can tap into it from whatever source that they're learning to tap into it from, it's a really strong feeling, right? It's you go from feeling very disconnected to now you feel this tether that's connecting you to an amazing well of energy. So when it says most spiritual paths, spiritual is very open, right? It can be many religions or, you know, atheist type things, but that idea of energy leading you to understanding your connection to the divine. And that's really what a lot of spiritual paths are, right? Is this journey of trying to understand how you fit, right? You're a puzzle piece. How do you fit in the puzzle? Where is it? Where is that tether? Let me find that tether to this vast energy. So I think I would agree with that statement. While human beings are often cut off from experiencing the deep and ever-present connection between themselves and the universe, that connection can often be regained through ceremony and community. And then Plain Toast, he added, and ritual. Ritual is really big in the craft. If you think about, many religions have some sort of ritual ceremony that they employ, right? And this attending and participation in this ceremony, this ritual that you do repeatedly, that was one of the things that makes people feel more and more connected to that community, to that energy, to that religion. So it's so interesting that it says, while human beings are often cut off from experiencing the deep, ever-present connection between themselves and the universe, right? They can regain that through ceremony and community. So I think that this is really cool and neat, and I definitely understand the kind of the psychology behind why that works. And I am excited to, from the viewpoint of paganism and some of the culture things that they have, that kind of older ceremonies and rituals, I'm excited to see what some of them are and what some of them feel like, and the connections that has. The last sentence is, the energy you put out into the world comes back. I think this is often called like the threefold law, and it's definitely that. Not everyone believes it exactly the threefold law idea, right? But the idea that when you do something, that energy that you put out into the world is going to come back at you threefold. So that if you're doing a lot of positive, good work, the good is coming back towards you. But if you're doing a lot of negative work, then the negative is going to come back towards you. Some people, right, might refer to this idea as karma. I work with energy, and I definitely would say that I agree with that sentence. So in terms of the beliefs that many pagans share, I think that each one of them is something that I can agree with. So already it's interesting. So that was some of my sort of thoughts on each. I think I agree with most of them. I like adding the word ritual in there because ritual and ceremonies are two very similar things. And I am really excited to, throughout the course of this year, sort of work through and deepen how I feel about each one of these, and like where do I stand on it? What are the things I enjoy or not enjoy? So that's really cool. One of the other things is there's a list of people, a huge list of people that this book goes through, and I think I mentioned it before. I would, by all means, please go and do more research on every one of these individuals. But I have a list that Plain Toast sort of had us do for homework, where he was like, I suggest you go look these people up and see what their contributions are. So I'm just going to go through person by person, and very briefly I'll show, not that I think Wikipedia is the best page for it, but I'm going to do Wikipedia and then just a quick Google search. I've already pre-pulled it up on a tab, but the idea is that each one of these people has contributed in some way. And if you are getting into the craft or paganism and you're trying to figure out, where you're going, a lot of it is very helpful to understand where you are, right? The easiest path is to not make mistakes in the past, or to at least know where some inspirations have come from. So I think that, diving into the history and learning it is very important. So again, let me show the page. Okay. So the first one, you can see like Susanna Budapest, often referred to as just Z Budapest. So first one on the list here, and um, I think one of the main contributions, it says right here, right? She founded the female-only style of Dianic Wicca, which, again, the mentor for my mentor was Dianic. So I'm really going to enjoy the viewpoint from a male who's looking at this sort of Dianic view of things, this feministic view of things, right? She was very active in a lot of the things that she was doing. She had plays. She wrote a lot of books. There's books in there, but again, I think that one of the bigger things is that Dianic Wiccan thing. Like a lot of that comes from her, right? In developing this. So there's a lot of, career and activism. And I think one of the other stories that I remember reading about in the book was that in 1975, she was arrested for fortune telling at her candle and bookstore in Venice, California, following a sting by an undercover policewoman. And that policewoman received a tarot reading from her. And then she was charged with violating that fortune telling law. And it made fortune telling unlawful. Budapest and her defense team described her as the first witch prosecuted since Salem. And then it was in the news a lot, right? She was found to be guilty, and then she founded that Dianic Wicca movement, which was a religion, and then the state Supreme Court reversed the guilty verdict. This is really good, right? Because they found it unconstitutional and in violation of the Freedom of Religion Act. Because in Wicca, tarot is considered, right, in fortune telling in that regard, but tarot specifically is very considered a tool of the trade almost, right? And depending on how you work with tarot, again, I think there's ways that you can kind of be in violation of that. I think the goal is that you're not trying to sell snake oil, right? Like, and that's what it used to be used for. A lot of it was like this snake oil feeling, right? I don't want to get bamboozled in that regard, right? And if you're using tarot for the right way, like tarot is not going to predict the future. There's many paths to that. That's definitely something that I believe. Free will is a thing. People have choice. And instead, you should be using tarot as a tool, just like you should be using intuition to understand why things are happening or why something may or may not happen, and what actions you can take, what choices you can make to sort of help get those results that you might be wanting. Not that you're guaranteeing them, just, what are some things to focus on? So again, I think tarot can be used in the right way. But again, she was known for that arrest. That was really big. Just a quick view of books. She's has written a great many things. So definitely somebody to check out. She has her own website. I just wanted to pull that picture up because she just looks so happy. So that was the first person. The next person is Selena Fox. So this is another sort of Wiccan priestess, right? That's here. Founder of Circlecraft, right? It's a tradition. It's a lot of what Selena was doing was advocating for the religious freedom, and that Wicca is a religion, and that it should have freedom just like any other religion, etc. And that was one of the big things that she was known for, among many other things too. But one of her bigger things was just that, is very much advocating for it to be a religion and all of those good things. She's been in publications, just a face of helping to move that forward. And like many, she is an author. There's several books. So definitely look her up, Selena Fox. A lot of rituals and celebrations around it. Sorry, I was reading before. Ronald Hutton is the next one on the list. So he is a historian, and a lot of what he was doing was writing books about historical paganism, folklore, um, things like that. So he has a lot of pagan study information there, right? He made this article, The Pagan Religions of the Ancient British Isles, right? Where he, um, you know, what did he say? Here's the quote: set out what is at present known about the religious beliefs and practices of the British Isles before their conversion to Christianity. The term pagan is used as a convenient shorthand for those beliefs and practices and is employed in the title merely to absolve the book from any need to discuss early Christianity itself. Right? So he did a lot of, he was a historian, looking into, paganism, especially in that British sort of area. There was some criticism that he faced because of some of his views here, right? What did it say? The book was controversial because it involved when his take is that it's these not having mainstream ideas, but it was very like these feminist thing, right? And there was a lot of factual errors and stuff. So he was doing this historical thing, but a lot of it was like, here's how I see it, or here's what I know about it. So it wasn't as much pure facts as it was a little more his feelings of it, right? So he focused on, again, paganism. There was a lot. This is a good word. I was trying to find some words here, right? But he had some assumptions that he was making about Wicca, right? And what it meant. And that's why he got a lot of pushback, because some of the stuff wasn't as accurate, right? An interesting thing, though, is that even though he had some kind of assumptions that were made, there were a lot of not positives that came from it, but like people who were interested in that, right? This Gardnerian Wicca. And because Wicca has different branches, right? When you try to clump it all together and say everybody thinks this or everybody thinks that, that's kind of where sort of the miscommunications were coming from. So he did a lot. If you notice, there's a ton of different readings here, a lot of different, investigating things that he's done. But the good thing about it is that it generated some of that, the conversation, right, about, what is paganism, what does it mean, where's this history. So some really good histories there. Here's a good picture, right? But again, English historian, did a lot of the folklore and stuff like that. So good to know, and how he moved it. He started a lot of those good conversations. The next one we have is, I'm hoping to say their name right, but Oberon Zell Ravenheart, and then his wife Morning Glory Zell Ravenheart. Both of them are leaders is probably one of the best words. I should probably look through here. I'm sure that Wikipedia has a better word for that. But they started a magazine called Green Egg, which there wasn't a lot back when they were starting this, right? The pagan movement didn't have a ton of information that was readily available. So this Green Egg thing that Oberon and Morning Glory helped to generate and start was a really early way of sort of getting people together. They also did this Grey School of Wizardry, which was neat. They did a lot of workshops and lectures and things like that. So here's a picture of him. This is a very, I'll click it, common photo. This is a goat that they had manipulated the horns of, and I think they did that to several of them, where it was like this unicorn, and it was this, come see this real live unicorn. So Morning Glory, again, same thing. A very good leader in that looking them both up would be good. Here's them, together. Next we have Isaac Bonowitz. Very similar to Ronald Hutton in that he's more of a historian in that regard, right? So it says that he was a neo-druid, right? And when I say he's more of a historian, is that there's some people who are attracted, I think, because of the lore and the history and the knowledge. And I think that this is probably a bigger pull for him. A lot of my opinion on that one. But that's definitely the feeling I was getting. There is, just like with Hutton, and why I link them together sort of, in that there's a lot of controversy that he helped to, good conversations that he helped to start, right? But also an author, a ton of good information that's out there, at least good in that regard. It says songwriter, singer, recording, etc., etc. But he founded, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, the Druid Fellowship, ADF. ADF is what it's referred to a lot in other places. But this feeling of not just neo-paganism, but this word druid that we're bringing back, right? He wanted, it's interesting, New Reformed Orthodox Order of the Golden Dawn, Wicca, not to be confused with the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So that's also interesting in that regard. So again, back in, the 60s and 70s, late 60s, early 70s, there wasn't a lot of the books out about magic and things like that. So he made a book called Real Magic, and he had these laws of magic and this big belief system, and, he coined a lot of the modern terminology that are used in kind of discussion today. Not a lot, but good. So there's a ton of interesting things there, but definitely, like, when you think of him, you should think Druid. And again, ADF is a big thing. I think it was a bigger deal comparatively back when it was founded than it would be, now. But definitely one of the people that helped bring things to light and move that conversation along. But more of that ADF thing, the druidic side of things, for sure. Gideon Penderwin. Sure I pronounced it wrong, but sorry. So him and Alison Harlow, again, with some of the major players, right? These are just major players who are out there making communities, pulling people in, having those good conversations about what is paganism, what is Wiccanism, what does that mean? So I think he's more of the, like, art side of things. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but in the book Drawing Down the Moon, there's a big long list of reasons that people are attracted to paganism. And some of it is because of that historical stuff, like I had mentioned, and some of it is because of the expressionism and artistry, and expressing sort of that love and that feeling that you're getting there. Um, and he's more in that regard, right? That artist, that freedom. That's where a lot of his strengths are coming from here. Um, um, I think I already mentioned the Green Egg Journal. That was one of them, and that was a Oberon and Morning Glory thing. Starhawk. I'm just trying to go down my list. Okay, so um, there's the Spiral Dance book that was published. Again, it's, where is it, 1979, so it's after some of these other things were founded, right? These, late 60s, early 70s. This is more late 70s. There's still not as many, as much information that has come out yet. It's still very new. But this is definitely that, like, let's have a connection to the earth. Feminism is very big in that regard, along with connecting to Mother Nature. So it's like this earth feminism. She argued a lot for the patriarchy being a little more domineering in that regard. So an author with a lot of books, and co-authored some, but a lot of it was, again, this feeling of connection with the earth. Where is it? Really trying to help bring women to take hold of the power that they would have, and not rise up necessarily, but like, be in control of their own destiny. Like, I like how that's one of the first things I read. American feminist, yeah, that's what I was like. That's known for a lot of that, right? And ecofeminism. There you go. That's a really good word to describe it. So I was saying, like, connected to the earth, right? This like earth feeling, and then this feeling of, the female as being one of those energetic connections to it as well. She has her own website, a lot of, god goddess writing stuff. There's a blog and films, a lot of stuff going on there. So definitely looking, but leans towards that Dianic side of things, right? That feminist side of things. Not quite, but in that same regard, right? Where the feminine is holy. We have Doreen Valiente. In which case, it's very much Gardnerian. Along with Gerald Garner, which is another name to look up. Very similar in that regard. Right. Is pull that up too. So Gerald Garner, again, founder of Gardnerian. I'm running out of things to say because, again, so much paganism is very similar. So it's like the things that are differentiating them, right? What's the difference between Dianic and Gardnerian and things like that? Where does it come from? Um, but a lot of in that time frame, a lot of people were saying, here's this type of Wicca, right? I'm going to name it after somebody or something because it's this. But when the person leaves, what happens is it's not as strong as it was, right? When the person dies, it's not as strong as it was because the founder, that person that's there, um, people come for the person, or they come because they believe in the person. But one of the good things about this Gardnerian thing is even when the person, Gerald Garner, even when they have left, that a lot of the people still feel strongly about it, right? There's still people that are pulling from this. I think it's been a lot of foundations for other stuff. So you can't see this. A lot of when I'm pausing on the screen, I'm looking at my notes down here on my paper. So I figure I'll just take that screen off so we can look at my notes because I'd written all the things down. It's just a ton. I probably would have talked more, but I think I'm getting fatigued and just talking about the same things straight. But those are at least the names. Again, Z Budapest, Selena Fox, Ronald Hutton, Oberon Zell Ravenheart, and his wife Morning Glory Ravenheart. I don't think I mentioned it, but she has done a lot of artwork. She's an artist in that regard, so it would be good to go look up her artwork. Isaac Bonowitz, Gideon Penderwin, more of that like songwriter. The Green Egg Journal, which I believe Oberon and Morning Glory helped make. Starhawk, Gerald Garner, Doreen Valiente. Really good people to sort of look up. In this book, a lot of the history comes from that, and a lot of there's like quotes. The author visited each one of these places and talked to them about what they believed in, so it was really good. Just trying to read the homework. So some of my other homework are why is this quest? Why this quest? Why this path? What are you hoping to learn? And I have a more written out version of the question. At this point in your year and a day studies, you are a seeker. What are you seeking? What has brought you to this point? Please refer to the exercises described under the break. Decorations squiggly line on page 10. Chapter 1 of this. So I'll open this up. Yeah, okay. So page 10 of To Ride a Silver Broomstick. It's this, what needs, write down how you came to this point in your life. What needs are you feeling right now? What do you feel you will gain by studying the craft? What do you fear you may lose if you continue on this path? Be perfectly honest with yourself. If you are not, don't waste the ink in your pen or the lead in your pencil. You are not ready to enter the study of witchcraft. Looking at both the bright side and the dark side or shadow areas is extremely important in your progress. So why this quest? Why this path? And then it says, write down how you came to this point in your life. So I have sort of already talked about a lot of that in my first video, in that I like learning and I like, figuring out more why I might feel a certain way or how that would link to things. I have always been curious about different religions. I've been to some different churches, and There are some that I have enjoyed being in the presence more than others. Um, I've read about a few different religions, and the problem is that so much of many religions, they say, here's some really good things that I think that you should do and think, and um, hold these dear to you. And I'm like, those all make sense because I'm all about energy and intentions and trying to do the right thing. And a lot of other religions sort of have that same theme. So I haven't really been like, this is the one true thing. And I think that's probably why I'm on the quest is to sort of figure out a more strong, this is why I'm believing what I'm believing. And again, I've had a stronger energy feeling, but not as some people can get very zealous about their beliefs. Um, I don't know that I have that about any of the ones that I've looked into, per se. What are you hoping to learn? I mean, how to tap into my own energies as well as the energies of the universe to help bring more positivity to the world, to my loved ones, to me, um, more balance and harmony to my life, and my community, my family, all of that. Like I want more good things. So that's definitely something I'm hoping to learn. And I guess the seeking is the how do I do that, right? Like how do I do a lot more of that? What do you feel you gain? Let's see. What do you fear you may lose if you continue on this path? Well, I have some family and some friends who are very strongly connected to their religion. And when you feel a certain way about things, and that has been what you're educated in, then you tend to only have that mindset. You only have that focus. And if that mindset and that focus is, the craft is bad, it's an evil thing, right? It's a Satanist thing because in my religion, this is how I think, this is what the devil means to me, and this is what Satan means for me, right? I have had someone ask me to not do tarot-like things in their house at a party. And it has made me feel very unwelcome in their house. I know that that is not their intention, and I know that it's just because of their link to their religion and what they were taught. I'm really hoping that upon this path, that I don't lose friends because my intentions are never, I want to hurt you, grr, rar, be mean. Like, I don't have time for that kind of negative energy. I instead want to help those around me. I mean, I'm a teacher. I've been teaching since 2007. I love helping people. I love helping students. So I really, really hope that that's what I can do if I continue on this path. And I really hope that I don't lose too many relationships. I hope that I have shown them my heart enough that they won't just write me off. If I've chosen to investigate something that I feel drawn to. But it's a real possibility. So I have outweighed the pros and the cons, and obviously I'm making videos and posting them on YouTube. So I'm to the point where if I have a friend or family member who believes that in my heart I'm doing negative things that are going to be have a negative impact on them or their family or their situation, and they don't want me in their lives, then that is their decision. And I don't know that I will feel regret at this point, right? Because I thought about it. I don't know that I'll feel regret losing that. I don't want people in my life who are going to judge me based on what other people have said or what a book has said or things like that. I want somebody to judge me for my actions, my beliefs, my energy, what I'm doing, my intentions, not based on something else. And if for those who know me and love me, like I'm I try to do my best to do right by myself and everyone else. In fact, to often my own detriment, where I haven't always taken care of myself as a priority. And that's one of the things I'm actually hoping to get from this process is how can I spend my energy and prioritize myself so that I can be here for those that I love and show them to also prioritize themselves so that they can be the best versions of themselves, right? That idea of the plane and the mask. You can't help somebody else if you can't breathe yourself. So part of the things that I'm hoping to get from this is that breath, that fresh air, that how do I reset and really come with my full strength, because I know I have a loving heart and I know that I have great intentions, and if I can, have a really great foundation I know it's already pretty good, but if I can have it be really stable in that regard, then it doesn't matter if I have another back surgery, because I've had 3 so far up to this point. Or if I can feel and operate my right foot, because right now it's not looking like it's going to be something that I can operate. There's a lot of things we're going to do and we're working on it, but I can still help, right, in other ways. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to pull from this. That was a lot. What is your definition of magic? What is magic to you? Some of the things that Plaintoast said is, is it a snowfall on Christmas Eve? The first cup of coffee in the morning? Is it something that is a tangible thing? Is magic a tangible thing? Or is it this unknown thing, right? So for me and my thoughts on magic in general, right? When we think of the word magic, and I think actually the Drawing Down the Moon book has a really neat way of describing magic, right? But it's definitely this feeling of something that you can't always see. I think I equate it with energy a lot because, again, I think that there's a lot of energy in the world, so I equate it with energy work. I think that meditation can be magic. Those moments where, because I often have my mind that's racing a bunch, so when I have those moments of calm, it can feel very peaceful. That's a very magical feeling as well, right? When you have those moments of pull, I have a lot of, especially since I've been doing tarot and reading for others and leaning into that intuition, those intuition moments that I have, that energy there that, if I'm doing a reading for somebody and I just get this visual in my imagination of the Pied Piper with rats behind them, and I tell the person I'm reading for that that's one of the images I had, and after the reading they tell me that that is something that when they speak with their friends about, that's how they talk the tea, right? When they have gossip, right? They have a rat and a phone, and boom, that's one of the things they do. And I can use that visual with this other thing. So I, time after time, get things like that. Visuals in my head, maybe some words that come to my mind, or a feeling, a sensation, a memory of my own that I think is important for the person to have heard or know. But I'll get all these things, and when I start leaning in and following that, I think it's magic, because that is the link to other people. That's what really helps the other people when I'm reading tarot for them. And that's been so magical for me, because it's hard to be like, wait, that word, that actually means something to you? Oh, interesting, right? It still feels like magic to me, even though time after time, it's the same thing. It's still like, wait, that worked? Like, that's a thing? What? I still feel very like happy and giddy. Like, oh, okay. Like, I'm 100% never going to tell somebody like, oh, I'm going to say this thing because I think they need to hear it. Like, I'm just me. I'll tell you if I hear something or see something or all these things. Like, and I love that it connects. And I think that that connection to me has been the most magical. And in terms of like, what are you seeking, right? What has brought you to this point? When I've leaned in to that sort of magical feeling and it connects to the other person, and I'm like, oh wow, it's surprising, and I want more of that like connection because it's neat, and I think it's helpful because again, usually when I'm doing that, I'm giving a tarot reading, and it's almost like giving advice in like a friend. Like I'm a friend giving you friendly advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I never say that. I talk through things. I'll give some options. I'll say things you should think about this or think about that, and it's a friend. So I love being able to be a better friend to people around me. So I think that's really exciting. It was a lot of journaling for this last session. A lot of like really think about this, think about who you are, what it means to you. Again, I'm still excited to keep going. I think the other ones won't be as long. This one was a lot because we had to work on fleshing out what we believe. So it was a lot more. But hopefully week 3 will be just as fun. And I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along with me on my journey. If you have an answer to any of those questions, something that, do you believe in all those beliefs, or is there something that you don't believe in? Is there one of the people that you have your favorite fact about one of those people? Put it in the comments. The other 2 questions on why are you on this quest? If you're watching this video, are you on a quest that's similar to mine, and why are you on that quest? I'd love to hear it. And what's your definition of magic? What is magic to you? Is it, I love those moments. I really do love those moments when I'm specifically usually on vacation and I have some kind of like morning coffee and I'm sitting out on a porch and I have the air there and I'm just kind of relaxed. There's nothing that I have to do in the day. That's my thing. Those moments to me are also like magic because again, it's that feeling that you get. So what's magic to you? I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm looking forward to also doing week 3